let's talk about some of the interests that we have. My time has been crushed badly, and I have my guest tonight. Let me quickly turn to one of them. Well, a lot of you will know him as a motivational speaker. He did say that he's a leadership and a leadership expert. It's a nation builder, that's what he calls himself. Mr. Durotoye of the ANN. He joins us on the program tonight. Thank you so much, Mr. Durotoye, for coming on the program tonight.
Thank you, Sean, for having me on The Verdict.
And I also have your friend of the YPP, Professor Kingsley Moghalu, the presidential candidate of the YPP. Is also a former deputy governor of the central bank. He joins us also on the program. Thank you so much, Mr. Durotoye. How is it coming? We have some days to the election. What are your hopes?
Well, my hopes have been really excited. I'm really excited. And I'm excited because, first and foremost, if I can please just give a verdict on the speech of the president, and I would like to say that is the most uninspiring presidential re-election campaign speech I have ever heard, which basically just talked about some kind of hope that people will not remember what it is that they've really done, and they can make promises that cannot be kept. I mean, he talked about momentum. The only momentum I really want to remind Nigerians is that in the month of June, the World Poverty Clock read that we had 87 million people living in abject poverty. They just recently published another report that has just shown that now we have 91 million people living in abject poverty. So we are seeing a momentum of people growing in poverty. No matter what it is that the numbers that the president is trying to put out there, that's not right. So the most important thing is I'm excited that Nigerians have woken up, and we will see a pleasant surprise. I promised you a pleasant surprise the first time I came on this program, sometime in January last year. I now know for sure, Nigeria, expect a pleasant surprise. A new Nigeria is coming, and it's less than 48 hours from now.
And you think that you'll be the candidate?
Oh, well, Nigerian people are going to win, and I am their candidate, for sure. Let me tell you something about all the numbers that I see shown. You see, we're still looking at the red ocean, the typical political ocean where, you know, who has what state. And Nigerian people are not only hungry, they are angry, and they're tired. Those three combinations are the most deadly combinations for anybody in politics. You see, the point is this. We are not looking yet at the people who did not vote the last time, but are ready to vote, and they're sure they don't want APC's continuity of momentum into poverty. They don't want PDP's return into corruption. Listen, the amount of money PDP has spent, everybody knows that they have to recover that money. The dollars that they are distributing out there, everybody knows they have to recover it. The only way they can recover it is through corruption. They're masters of the game, and we know that if you go with APC, there's poverty. If you go with PDP, there is going to be massive corruption like we've never seen before. So we are sure that people are tired of both APC and PDP. Go and talk to the people who didn't vote the last election. There were, don't forget, there were 40 million people who had voters' cards that did not vote the last time. They are now ready to vote this time around, and they're not voting APC, they're not voting PDP. They are a larger crowd, and they want a new Nigeria.
You've not been able to stage a major rally at any stadium in Nigeria. The question of do you really have the follower or the following to be able to get the kind of voter you're talking about?
Let me talk about this rally issue. It's very interesting because, you know, the thing about it is that when I came in, I said to you in January, and I said it to you sometime last year, we are not going for the political voter bloc. That is the one that they usually give money to vote. Those are the people you see in rallies. The kind of people who we are going after are the people who typically do not vote. They don't come to rallies. So if you think that you'll find them in rallies, that's not our strategy. Our strategy is to go and meet them and get them where they listen. They listen on social media, they listen on radio, they listen on television, but they don't come to rallies. So don't expect a rally. It's not our strategy. And on top of that, let me just give you some interesting facts. When you look at the total number of the capacities of the stadia that you have seen, filled to capacity, and you just talked about, for instance, one of the ones in Uyo, Akpabio's stadium, it has only 30,000 people. So when you see all those heads, even if they filled it to capacity, it's 30,000. Add that they took all the people in the field, 50,000. They have not gone to 10 stadia, meaning that all the things that people are seeing all over is less than 500,000 people. Do you know that on social media alone, I have a following of 948,000 people, meaning that all the people you see in the rallies are really about 43% of the number of people that I have following me on social media. So when people say that, this is a different game completely, don't be deceived by all these political...
So social media will play a major role.
Oh, it's going to play a major role.
Because those are the kind of people they say, they tweet and they go on their mobile devices and they never come out on election day.
Remember that was what they said, that they tweet but they will not collect their voters' cards. Guess what? 23 million new people came out and collected voters' cards. When we were going around on campuses, they said, Fela, you're wasting your time. Those students don't vote, and most importantly, they won't be in school when you vote. I went to the schools, almost 30 schools, universities, and I talked to them. And guess what? For the first time in the history of INEC, right, in Nigerian electorate, students are now the largest by far population, 22 million students representing 26% of our voters. Listen, the work we're doing is paying off. But Nigerians will see. This whole issue about waste your vote, I tell you one thing. APC does not need your vote to win. PDP does not need your vote to win. So if you would vote for PDP, if you're an undecided voter, and you decide to vote for PDP or APC, you have wasted your vote because they don't need your vote. Listen, you want a new Nigeria, you're tired of the current reality now, you want a new Nigeria, vote for Alliance for New Nigeria. Right. You will get a new Nigeria, and that's not a wasted vote.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be giving me some money there because you're obviously campaigning, but I'll allow you today because you'll be permitted to talk about your programs. But we'll take a moment on the program, and when we come back, I did tell you that another vibrant candidate of the YPP will be joining us, Mr. Professor Moghalu. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Mr. Fela Durotoye, the presidential candidate of the ANN, has been talking to us. He seems pretty sure that he's going to win this election, and he says we should expect some kind of surprise after these election on Saturday. Those are your words.
Yeah, I said the Nigerian people will win, and I am representing the Nigerian people. I'm representing everyone who is tired of the cabals. I'm representing everyone who is tired of being poor. I'm representing everyone who is tired of a Nigeria that does not work, but works only for the few people who have held us bound, and we need freedom. We've had 58 years of independence, but it's time for APC and PDP to let my people go. And my message is very clear. I have said it to them. It is time for the freedom of Nigerians. And we're there. Nigerians will choose their freedom on Saturday. And I can tell you, many of the people that are going to show up are first-time voters. So it's very difficult for you to be able to poll them, because they don't come out, they don't speak loudly. So you don't, let's see what happens.
All right.
Okay.
I have your friend, the presidential candidate of the YPP, Professor Kingsley Moghalu. He joins us via Skype. Thank you so much, Professor Moghalu, for coming on the show today. It's the last day of campaign, so we're glad to have you to talk to us about your plans. What are your figures telling you? Your war room, are they hopeful that your chances are brighter, or what are they telling you?
Well, thank you very much. Yes, our chances are very, very bright, and we feel confident of winning the election. I'm talking to you right now from my hometown in Nnewi in Anambra State, where I've just closed a series of rural engagements with grassroots voters who actually vote in Anambra State. And this is part of our strategy. We've combined a ground game with an underground game and a 10,000 feet helicopter bombing through television and social media. So I am the only candidate in this election who crosses all the divides: the young, the old, the middle class, the poor, the professional class, the people who actually vote on the ground, the masses, and people who are on social media as well. So I feel very confident that I'll be the next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. There are really three parties contesting the election in this country in 2 days' time: the APC, the PDP, and the YPP, the Young Progressive Party, of which I'm the candidate.
And who do you think will win?
Of course, I will win. And
what gives you that confidence? What gives you that confidence?
Oh, because we have an underground game that will shock Nigerians when the results report in 2 days' time. Just like Trump won the presidency in America in 2016. Everybody went to bed thinking they were walking to the coronation of Hillary Clinton, and they woke up in the morning and Trump was the president. That's what's going to happen.
I really like Professor Moghalu's optimism, but one of the interesting things is that, you know, facts don't lie. And more recently, there was a survey that was done to show popularity of parties. All right, so maybe Professor Moghalu as a person may be known, but his party is not known. In the ranking of the reports, there were the top 5 parties that were known included the 2 parties that we all know, APC, PDP, and then there was SDP, and then there was ANN as well as ABGA. So they were the top 5 parties that were known across Nigeria. Okay, so and this is not a poll that we did. So I like the optimism, and I really wish Professor Moghalu as well as any other candidate, I wish them well. But the facts don't lie. The top 5. Now let's be clear. ABGA has gone one way, SDP has gone the other way. So in reality, the 2 parties that are, or the 3 parties that are left from the top 5 are APC, PDP, and Alliance for New Nigeria, ANN, the party with the logo of the lion. So the numbers are telling us something different from what Professor Moghalu is saying.
But it should be the man telling us about numbers, because he's walked in the building where the only thing that mattered was numbered at the CBN.
Let me just make it very clear that I am not here to debate with anyone. The facts speak for themselves. I am the leading alternative candidate outside of the APC and the PDP, and the YPP is the leading alternative party. There are numerous polls that have established that, and I don't want to go into them. I think the results will speak in the elections, and then we will see at the end of the day what the reality is. But I have no question in my mind that I'll be sworn in as the next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
So the big question...
I'm not a social media candidate. I'm on social media, but I deal with real people on the ground in Nigeria who vote, actually.
So the question will be, what would you do differently? And I'm coming to Mr. Durotoye to ask him a similar question. And as to the issues of restructuring, the issues of the economy, the issues of security, these are very important issues to Nigerians. The question will be, Moghalu Kingsley, what would you do differently to convince Nigerians that they will spend the whole of Saturday waiting and putting their hopes in their ballot, putting it in you?
Let me tell you what I'm going to do differently and what the YPP will do very differently. The most important thing that we're going to do very differently is that we are going...
Oh, technology, that you cannot trust it. Sometimes it just disappoints you. So it brings me to my real guest. Oh, okay. We'll come back to you in a moment. So it takes it away from Professor Moghalu to the ANN candidate, Mr. Durotoye. What would you do differently? Why should Nigerians stay in the sun to endure the heat on Saturday to vote for you?
Well, let me tell you that Nigerians are looking really for one thing: the right, credible leadership. Somebody who has a track record of showing the love for Nigeria, not just serving Nigeria simply because you have an appointment, which is what you see with many of the other candidates. No, the most important thing is that Nigerians are looking for people who have, with their own personal funding, without power, without authority, without position, they have served Nigeria. And that is the way you can know who loves Nigeria. And it's there. Everybody knows. Fela has been on the track, right, for many years, doing things that advance the cause of Nigeria. I love Nigeria, but more importantly, I love Nigerians. I've worked with building Nigerians, bringing out the best in Nigerians, getting Nigerians to believe in Nigeria. None of these other candidates can even say that. I mean, just listening to them most of the time just causes you to lose your hope and your faith in Nigeria. So what we will do, most importantly, is we will provide the right, credible leadership.
Would you jail looters?
Absolutely. We would let the law do its place. And the law always jails looters, right? Because there is a clause. And let me say to you, because we have not collected any money from any big donor, right? ANN does not have any godfathers. We don't owe anybody any protection. So that's one of the best things.
Would you sell state resources to privatize?
Well, where we have to privatize, we will, but we will not sell it to our friends. Okay? The most important thing is because you see, we don't come in with any kind of illusion as to, oh, you know, what kind of, you know, when I say godfathers, we don't have godfathers. We don't have people that we have to pay back. That is the greatest challenge that you face today with APC and PDP. They have spent so much money on this campaign that they have to get their money back. Let me tell you, a vote for APC or PDP means that they are going to go and recoup their money and then save for a little bit later. That means you are going to see the greatest level of corruption that Nigeria has ever seen.
All right.
You need someone who is not corrupt, and you need someone who has not gone through the corrupt means. You know, so you want to make sure that you get and vote for Alliance for New Nigeria.
Let's allow Mr. Ladi will come in a moment. He has some question to throw at both of you. But let's allow Professor Moghalu to come in. You were on that lane of telling us what you would do differently.
Yes, I was saying that the most important thing that my presidency will bring to Nigeria is the constitutional restructuring of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, so that this country can actually become a real nation, not just a country. Divided country that it is today, no security, women are suppressed, the youth are made houseboys in the boys' quarter. Under our presidency, the youth will become leaders of today, not tomorrow. We will work with women as equal partners. And the economy is going to be fundamentally reformed.
So, just a moment, you said restructuring. How would you do that? Sovereign National Conference or what?
Yes, no, let me tell you how I'll do that. First of all, we are going to appoint a high-level commission on constitutional restructuring that will have 3 months to conclude.
Yet again, we have that disappointment.
Would you restructure Nigeria?
Oh, absolutely. But more importantly, we're not just going to restructure Nigeria. We're going to consistently look at what you call the review of the Constitution. You see, the Constitution is like an app, and it should be like a living app, meaning that you don't review it from every 4 years or 6 years. You review it every moment that you see any reason to do so. So I'll tell you specifically what we will do about restructuring Nigeria. We will set up a constitutional review commission that will then set up a constitutional review conference. It is that constitutional review conference that will look at restructuring as well as other areas.
Looks like what we had under Jonathan.
Yes, pretty much like that. But we won't be having 62-year-old and 72-year-old average age. We'll be looking at the people whose age will be the ones that will say, listen, the future is what we're trying to restructure. So that means that you're going to get younger people. The average age at that conference will be 40 years old.
All right, Ladi should. Ladi wanted to say something quickly to the guest.
Yes, Ejema and I were just taking a look at the tweets, and something that came out to me was that both Salah and Kingsley are supposed to be on the same side, which is this third force of younger people.
And that's the feedback that you have online.
And people are asking that, but it seems as if the venom between both of you, even in the course of this conversation, is such that it's difficult to believe that at any point in time you were all thinking of yourselves as friends, and that at the time there was actually supposed to be some kind of coalition to produce just one of you so that everybody else puts their power behind that one person, who then stands a better chance of coming up against this the larger parties, in this case the PDP and the APC. But that seems not just to have fallen apart. Mrs. Ezekwesili gave the impression that that was again on the cards when she withdrew her candidacy, but it does seem as if indeed it isn't on the cards, and that those of you that appear to have the best chances are at loggerheads, personally or politically.
So, and Ladi is not making it up.
I can deal very quickly with that, Ladi. The first thing is that there are no personal issues. I think that I was merely correcting what you call a perception error that Professor Moghalu had. Statistics show that the top 5 most popular parties known, and these were not things that we did, it was an independent report, were, like I said, the 4 and Alliance for New Nigeria. So YPP did not show up. In fact, YPP showed up as number 11 on the list in terms of popularity. So that's why I said, well, if Professor Moghalu can win, but people don't know his party and they may not know that. Now, let me quickly deal with the last issue, which is what you raised. Look, the truth is, we had always said that we needed to come up and try and see what we could do to make some kind of coalition. And you know that we've given an attempt to that. An attempt was made in PACT last July, and I emerged. Professor Moghalu walked away. It brought great, serious credibility issues for him because he signed a memorandum of understanding and he couldn't keep his word. And I think that Nigerians are looking for a leader that is credible, a leader that will keep their promise, No, it's not. Promise making is politics, but keeping promise is a different thing. That is leadership. And so Nigerians are really looking for people who can keep their promises, not just make promises. If you can't keep your promise to 18 people or to 10 people in a paper, I wonder what you will do to 200 million people. But that's not all. The second thing, very quickly, and I'll just say this, the second thing is that every time you're going to come up with some kind of coalition, it has to be that you are saying, if it's not me, then whoever emerges through a transparent process, that person I would respect that person. That's what I said. That's something that, Professor Moralu and unfortunately...
Are you looking forward to a possible coalition in the future?
It can happen only when these guys change their minds. Currently, they are not interested in saying, if it is not me, who? You see, and once you have that sense of self-aggrandizement, then that is really, if you think you're the only one that can fix a country, you can't bring out the best in your leadership team.
Absolutely. Yeah, Professor Moghalu, yes, if you can hear us, if you quickly can respond to some of the things that have been said about the issues on the table.
Well, first of all, I want to say that I have been cut off for the past several minutes, so I have not heard the conversation. I'm sorry. I'm in a rural area, and this is one of the things my government is going to do when I become president. We're going to focus a lot on infrastructure in the rural areas, including broadband infrastructure, so that I could have better participated in this conversation. And this is what...
Let me update you then. Since you said you didn't particularly hear the conversation. I asked the question, and it was supposed to be for both of you before technology caught you off. Now,
my question, the answer on constitutional restriction...
No, that was not the question. I'm sorry. The question I asked had to do with the issues that some of those on social media are asking the question that, why does it appear as if from the conversation on the program tonight between yourself and Mr. Durotoye, it would appear that rather than being friends who at one point in time in the political process were actually in an attempt to form a coalition, it's as if you are almost like the two established parties at bitter loggerheads. Now, Mr. Durotoye's position was that that's not true. There are no personal issues involved, but that formally you walked away from a pact where you signed on that if you were not the one who was produced as the winner, then you would accept whoever it was. But that at the end of the day, you didn't, and that therefore it presented for you a credibility problem, and that to some extent these were not his words, these are the inferences we're making, that may also partly explain some of what had transpired in between the words that were placed on the table tonight.
Again, I'm sorry,
Unfortunately, it would appear as if, I don't know if Professor Moghalu can still hear us.
But
I'll just conclude by saying Nigerians are looking for a promise keeper. Nigerians are looking for somebody who is humble enough to say, if it is not me, it doesn't matter as long as Nigeria is number one and Nigerians are number two. I can be last. The most important thing is that Nigerians are today having a choice between not APC and PDP because they're really one party. They just have two names. Like my name is Fela Durotoye. I'm one person with two names. APC and PDP are the same party, but they just have two names. And Nigerians are choosing on Saturday between the old politics and new generation of nation builders. Most people have decided they are not going to hire a 76-year-old president. You know why? They won't hire a 76-year-old MD or CEO for their company. They've started to personalize this.
Should Nigerians choose otherwise, from your own belief, what would you do?
Oh, nothing. We would continue to work towards building a new Nigeria. That is what we've been doing for the last 14 years. That's why I have a track record. You see, it's interesting that outside the political space and political office, President Muhammadu Buhari has no track record of working to build, national development. Vice President Atiku is never seen except during elections. So they have no track record of things they do when there is no election. For me, I've got a track record that has been built over the last 14 years. Nigerians can trust me because they know what I've done without political office.
Where do you hope that you get your most votes?
Well, we will get our most votes, especially in the Southwest, no doubt about it. That is for sure. We're best known in the Southwest, but that's where we'll get the most. But we'll get the votes all across Nigeria. Don't forget, I have a female Northern candidate from the North Central region. We've been there. We've been on ground. We've been talking to the people. The women are excited. For the first time, the northern women are finding representation. They're so excited.
All right.
Nigeria will see a pleasant surprise.
And I would like to ask you, this putting you on the spot also, the big question. You're talking like you're going to be an upset in the race. That's what you're talking about.
Nigerians are ready to upset this.
So where do you think that biggest upset will be? Kano State, Lagos State, Bauchi State, Kaduna State?
Well, it's spread across, but I can tell you that Lagos State, we're going to see a major upset in Lagos State, especially because Lagos State is where you have the strongest, I would say, the strongest number of young people, most vibrant people that are ready to bring about change. But it's actually spread all across. You see, it's not about states. It's actually about age and the age brackets. And it's not just people that are young. It's actually people who are tired. And people who are tired cut across the entire length of Nigeria. Sheung, once again, I promise you there will be a pleasant surprise. People are ready to vote out APC, to keep PDP out, and they want a new Nigeria. The new Nigeria is number 14 on the ballot box. Is that lion? And please don't forget, vote with your tip of your finger so it doesn't cross the lines.
All right.
I look forward to seeing you shortly after the elections.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Durotoye, for coming on the show today, presidential candidate of the ANN. Unfortunately, technology wouldn't allow us to speak to the very end to Professor Kingsley Moghalu of the YPP. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on tonight. We'll take a break, and when we come back, the verdict will be continued by Ladi and Ijama.